Alright, hello. I'm just gonna go through my Megalodon tech video and just make a few comments and demonstrate a few things, I guess. Uh, Sections I struggled with personally, and the methods I used. I think, and although this song is obviously it's been fully FC'd now, which I can hardly believe, even now, and it's not necessarily a very hard tech FC for a lot of players at this point. But with me not being really a tapping player or anything, or really ever delving into this style of song, this like FL Studio sort of thing, it might be interesting to see like how I tackled some of this stuff, because obviously I don't necessarily I'm not as fast as some of the younger players or the players that have done Tech FC this also. And also let me clarify, I haven't actually Tech FC'd it because I haven't done ArchWk B, but outside of that is basically what this is about, and I knew I couldn't do that from the very beginning. And to be fair, although ArchWk B is like much harder than the rest, I still think it's pretty very hard to do even outside of that. So yeah, all right. Some of the stuff is pretty easy, so I won't be like literally watching through the easy section. There's no reason to. But anyway, I guess I'll let the video play now, and hopefully this still works. Okay. So I think one other thing I'll say is that the reason, like I said, everything is literally just one section. That's it, and it's Tech FC. So like even the first section is not combined with the section, which is also easy. And the reason for that was well, when I started doing this, I didn't expect to be able to get like everything other than ArchWks, and so I wanted to just make an easy way to track which sections I hadn't done. So I basically just I just numbered each clip, so 1 to 83 or 85, however many there are, and so I would know exactly which section number was missing to make and it would make the video, this video, a lot easier to edit and create. So that's why there's like everything is just like one section. It's not that I can't do the first and second section together. It's just literally for convenience in making the video. So these first two sections are easy. And then there's the journey sections. Okay, so these are really quick trills. And I actually attempted to like do as much of Megalodon as possible before, like quite a while ago. And I actually alt-tapped these back then. I shouldn't be opening Discord. I alt-tapped these trills back then, but now I refined that in this next bit, the second attempt. So, and these sections repeat a lot, so I'm only gonna have to show one at least. So I used the so these two fingers do the first two, and then whichever finger does the second sub. I mean, even then, it's like, I can't hit this stuff like literally 100% of the time, even though it is pretty simple. And that's all that is. It's not very hard. I think most people can do that. So that's probably, I assume, what pretty much every player does for that. So there's nothing new there. Excuse me, let me switch the thing. Divine Light, easy, I think. Yeah, just an easy solo. And then we got the journey sections, which are all pretty much identical except for the ends of the B parts. But there's not much to say. Watch your step. This is I mean, high NPS sort of thing, but it's like nothing that's hard to understand, so there really no need to demonstrate this one either. Although, like trills like these, or I guess castles as they're sometimes called, I find it really difficult to like straight alt tap them when it's not an obvious pattern. So even when like I've learned exactly the note order, I still struggle, and I'll hit the wrong fingers every now and again. So basically the only non-normal pattern that I can fully alt tap all the time is like Through the Fire and Flames intro, which obviously is ingrained to everyone's memory anyway. So that's just a little beside. But still, that section's still easy. Journey, again, nothing different here. Ends with sustains. The funkening, just the beginning of the solo. I believe Funky Solo A is also easy. Funky Solo B, I think in this, it was, in this attempt it was basically sight read, which was okay. It's not a very hard section. And there's actually nothing to demonstrate there, it's just basic stuff. I guess it was just interesting because I didn't know those ladders were there, so I kind of fluked them that time. Right, and now this next section, Funky Solo B, is this was the first section I skipped on my first attempt at this, because it has a machinations part in it. And now I would assume most people would either rake that or use the hammer-ons. For me, I couldn't really use either of those as a viable strategy. So I basically just relied on just spam strumming through it. And it is very fast if you like strum every single note, so it was just a bit like play and pray. And the transition out was also not very simple for me. I don't know, I had like some sort of mental block. But nonetheless, that's how I'm not going to re-hit the sections. It's just a demonstration. But yeah. So that's probably the first one that's also kind of unconventional. But at the same time, there's nothing tapping-wise that's unconventional in there. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There actually isn't any difficult tapping in this song yet. So let's move on. Journey 4B, I believe, goes into this section. Glistening, which, although it looks very fast, it's very self-explanatory. I remember hitting it very cleanly in this, when I did it there. But the method is very simple. These are just chimneys on top, and then it goes into a trill. And although I probably could alt tap that, I did my usual. I guess I don't know what you'd call this. I think this has a proper name. It's not rake tapping, but I think it's skip tapping or something, but it's all on the same note, so. Only hard part about that is transitioning between the chimneys and the trill itself. Okay, so that's that bit. Nothing too interesting so far, to be honest. Revival, easy. Retrieval, easy. Decomposition, also easy. Pretty easy. I mean, it has those strumming bursts, but like, they aren't difficult. Because obviously we're on a lean engine. Now crying, this was one of the hardest sections I did on my first attempt of this Tech FC. This time around it wasn't that hard to do. So obviously there's some pretty fast tapping in there. And it also has the weird open note bit, so I guess I'll show that. So the way to tackle this first bit, definitely don't use the hammer-ons. I didn't anyway. Just like that. So it's like you're playing him as doublets, just letting go. So the tapping bit at the end is actually the harder bit for me. Starting from here, for some reason I couldn't really tap this bit at the beginning, it just confused me, so I just one-handed it. And it's basic methods, to be fair. It's just straight alt tapping, so there really isn't anything special going on. I don't know, I think modern methods would probably maybe slide the triplets, probably not, because if I have the speed to do it, I gotta figure most people, most tapping players probably have the speed to do that. But that's crying. Is it the hardest section so far? Maybe. I think for me personally, Funky Solo C is harder, but I guess your mileage may vary. Crying goes into staying afloat. So this one has a lot of notes and it's kind of awkward. I think it's pretty awkward, to be fair. This one, it's maybe self-explanatory. You could one-hand it all. I think I opted not to do that though. So yeah, just like that. One-handing these descending ones, fully alt-tapping that one, and then coming down on that, using all the hammer-ons, you know. I feel like one-handing the whole thing, not only is it just, I could physically do it, but it makes the transitions with the strums on the bottom a bit more awkward. That's just the reasoning behind using all those transitions. Plus, you gotta think, I only have to hit these things once, so it didn't really matter if the method was that efficient. Instant Realities Trial. I believe A is fine. I think I one-handed it, just sight reading it basically. Which is only notable because of that one little trilly bit. And so this one, the end of this is actually pretty annoying. Mainly because of that one green, a double green there. And then the blue note at the end of that trill is also really frustrating in terms of transitioning into a green-red chord anyway. So the way I tackled that, although I didn't include this in my notable sections bit, I'll show it anyway because it is kind of tricky. It's probably the hardest one I didn't put on there, but it's not that hard to hit really. Like eventually. I had no doubts I would be able to do it. Maybe tap this bit. And somehow missed there. Right, and this so we're using tap notes, so that's gonna be kinda lenient anyway. But that transition is rapid. I figured people might tap these notes at the end. But I don't know. The chord at the beginning sort of screws that for me. Or maybe I could have done it that way. I don't know. I opted to go for the strumming. Need to be less accurate. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. It's hard to say with this sort of thing. Anyway, the next section. Calorics trial. Now, both of these are kind of tricky. They are sort of like classic PC player SH sections, it seems to me. So while they're not necessarily free for me, like there's no doubts I could do, at least A. A is definitely a typical one. As I'll show them both for now. That's kind of simple enough to understand. That trill is a bit annoying. And then this trill is not as bad as I thought it was going to be, honestly. I thought the orange wall was going to be really difficult to do. But, because normally I would tackle that sort of thing just using, like, you know, Satch Boogie style. But didn't have to do it that way. So Calorics Trial A, I think, is the easier of the two. I missed like everything. I think the method is generally quite self-explanatory. The only thing that is any different is the transition from the zig into the quads. So a double one hand will tackle that extra yellow note. And also the transition out of the this style sweep, I don't know if this thing has a name, into the triplets at the end is also kind of weird for me. So I think I opted to just do this. Straight up tap the orange blues. And that works pretty fine. And then play this chill cleanly. Whatever, I did it cleanly the first time. But yeah, that's that one. Not so bad. This one more of a problem. Not only do I hate quads, but these even have the dreaded Spock quads in them as well. That's not so bad, that bit. So I'm pretty sure I did what I would normally do, I just missed a lot. I'm gonna set a section at the trill. Actually, that hammer-on bit is not so easy. I didn't actually have any trouble with it initially. So that's what I would do. I actually didn't try and do it this way, but I imagine it's not going to be doable. Yeah, it's just slightly too fast for me to do. That's ArchWk B. Harder than A. Sucky A is like the easiest section in the song. B is relatively interesting. We have this tappy bit here. Which isn't so bad. Now this part, this is another section I skipped the first time I tried to do it, just because of that bit at the end. It's not so bad now, but I think I guess just a bit slow with the one-handing back then. The method is exactly what you'd expect. Keep clicking on the wrong thing. As for all the tapping stuff, I think I just generally just standard tapped it. Oh, it's swapped to this here. That's how it works. So that's not actually that bad for me anymore. I'm surprised I had to skip that all the way back then, but apparently I did. Sydney's trial is really easy. It always interests me, like, why is this one so much easier than the rest? Like, Sucky A is easy, but at least B is difficult. But, like, I guess those chords are there, but it's not hard. Meteor Graves A is also easy. Now, Meteor Graves B. Now, this is one, I don't know how fast this strumming is, but I had to rake this. Or at least, I didn't even try standarding it, I just raked it. Raking sucks for me. I don't know, I always just said and figured that my guitar didn't have a consistent rake. But even if it did, I just don't think I'm good at raking anyway. So it's basically just like pot luck whether the raking works, overstrums or hits everything. It normally hits the notes at this speed at least, but overstrumming is something I just can't really control. I just changed the speed there now. So you see how all over the place it is. And then the ending bit, I mean, just spam zigs. What's the point in doing that accurately? There isn't one. So yeah, raking has always just been luck. But since we're only going for a section, it wasn't really much of an issue. Now, ArchWk A. This one I left till, I mean, second last in quotation marks, because obviously it is actually, strictly speaking, the last section I got of the all but one Tech FC thing. And I always saw this thing and I was like, what the hell is this? I don't know how to do this. So I didn't even really try and ever learn it, especially considering it was right at the end of the section. But it's not as bad as I thought, so although it is still hard to, physically hard to hit. So I'll show off exactly. I gotta figure what I do is pretty much what most people do as well. And so I'm going to slow this down as well. I don't know if anyone watching this would like also not be able to break this, not know how this is done. So basically for this first part, it's just all tapping between 5-note chords and red-blue chords. So however you hit 5-note chords, you really have to hit them with one hand, or like, I guess you could try and do like this or something, but like, nah, not gonna work. So just hand flat. Then these are just chord trills, and this is the weird one. And then triplets at the end. Now they're pretty obvious how you do them. It's just speed. But this second like mess of notes. Actually, I'll go to the chord trill on. So that's a double one hand there. From this to that. And another double one hand with the 5-note chord. Because like, I don't know how you would alt tab straight 5-note chords, like, just palm it I guess. But like, that's not convenient doing that. Otherwise it's just the same as the first one, just different chords. So I'll clear A and B. Show you what it looks like at full speed. Yeah, so it wasn't like literally the hardest one I did, as I thought it would be. I don't know. I don't even want to put it in the top 5. It was still difficult. One of the hardest ones. The speed is not an issue at this point, at least for me. But like, you'll get random notes missing in the 5-note chords, that sort of thing. So it is difficult still. Okay, so now we move on to the obviously one that I didn't do, ArchWk B. Sped up from 75% speed just to make the video seem consistent. And so even at 75% speed, this was one of the hardest ones to do for me, like legit. So I just knew I probably couldn't even do 80, maybe do 80. But yeah, 100% speed wasn't even worth like imagining doing, because I know I couldn't do it. So I guess I'll at least show what I did, and I'll show you what it looks like, what I imagine I would have to do personally to even try and get 100% speed FC. So right off the bat, just spam strumming through this bit because it just didn't want to work. I don't know why. I mean, I would think I would be able to use the hammer-ons, but something about the transition to the zig. And that's actually not hard. They're just a couple of double one hands. There. And standard quad tapping. That transition was kind of bad. I standard this bit. And that transition, oh my gosh. I don't know how you would do that transition at 100. This transition's fine. Too fast one-handed trips, that trill is fine. Like, I was even alt-tapping that quad zig at 75% speed, which I hate doing. I'm really bad at doing those patterns. But I still did it. I had a couple of chokes there. And then as far as the trill, I literally just like, just spam these frets here. I don't even anchor blue. I just literally into the triplets at the end. So that's how I did it at 75, at 100. Have to rake this bit now. See, it's just not even close. Minus 50, you know? I can't even get close to that transition. And then also for that trill, I would have to probably do some rake tapping or whatever. And considering I'm not good at that either, there's no hope. Like this transition, I just can't get over it. Like I want to even see if I can even hit it, like... How do you do that? Like you have to one-hand this bit, but my hand has to be there. One-handing that is bad enough. I have to just... And I already talked about how difficult raking is. Like it's just not even close. Yeah, so this is one... I don't know if I would ever be able to do it, but for now I just can't see it. I know I can't do it in my current skill level. But yeah, so that's why, and also I didn't want to like just delete the entire video idea because I can't do ArchWk B. Like it just seemed like a waste. So 75% speed it was, and yeah, that's why I didn't put much effort into that because it's just not gonna happen. I think it would take me like 30 minutes to hit the transitions once. I don't know, maybe I could fluke it, but even that transition at the end, I don't think I could do. Like I was maybe thinking like maybe I could do like a 4-part Tech FC of that one, but I don't know. Maybe I'll try that at some point. But anyway, we'll move on to the rest of the sections. And to be fair, after the trials, there are fewer notable sections, so hopefully this will pick up pace. Stop clicking on Discord, you muppet. Having said that, Corty's trial, both of them were kind of annoying for me. Mainly the beginning of this one was difficult for me to figure out. This stuff is kind of obvious how you'd hit it. And also this bit is kind of weird. I'm sure there's some ghosting in there. So I'll do these separately because they are... I just didn't even think of them together. As far as this one goes, starting off with standard tapping. And what was difficult was I don't really have the speed to standard tap this bit. Like genuinely. It's really fast to standard. But the thing is with that, and that's fine because I can do it, I can do the method, so that's sweet. Even if it didn't hit there, that is the method, you know? But then I couldn't figure out how to transition out either. But I believe what I did was, I just went back to standard tapping. It was just weird to think about. So I'll try and hit that at least once, you know? See, stuff like this I just hate. Then one hand this bit, that's fine. Like it seemed to throw a lot at you for something that didn't look that hard. So there, I hit it. But like I did a similar thing I think for the end of it where I was just sort of like, I'll just kind of spam my way through these trills because I don't know. I don't know if I couldn't be bothered. Probably. There was a lot to do. Well, that's A. It's sort of not that hard, but it's sort of like sleeper hard, if you get what I mean. For me, anyway, obviously. I'm speaking relatively in terms of me, not for actual tapping gods. So yeah. ArchWk B. That bit at the beginning is not so bad. I figured out a method for that pretty rapid. This ending bit though is kind of annoying. So I'll show that now. The beginning is just like quad tapping. Like I figured this stuff out for carpal tunnel and stuff, so I knew what I was doing here. Or at least I say that. Still, like, completely Tapping full quads for me is just really bad. I'm getting myself confused here, so I'll just... something like that. I don't need to hit it. And that bit actually threw me for a loop for a second, even though it's not hard. It's kind of obvious how you do it. More of that tapping bit. I do like tapping that pattern, it's just... So, it's obvious how we hit this chord trilly thing. It's the transition that would kill me. You're transitioning to that. And then I kind of just flew with the ending, honestly. I don't think I had a genuine method. Like, something like that. Yeah, so it's some sort of quad tapping at the end. That was that bit at the end of Chord B was probably the least refined method I had. Considering it was right at the end of the section as well. But yeah, those two sections, the Chord trial A and B, are not like ones you think of when you think of Megalodon. But for me, they were notable enough. Then we have Digital Squirrel's trial, which is not worth demonstrating, but it does have this one weird chord trilly bit, which you just hit as triplets, to be fair. All tap triplets. And the rest of it is just, you know, I just one-handed it. I one-handed these trips, I think, which was quite fast for me anyway. But yeah. Okay, so we can skip a few sections at last. Trip, alt tap trips, quadrature, standard tap, journey, just as the rest are. Right, trillery, I can quickly demonstrate it. It's not very hard though. So trillery, this is an example of a trill or castle pattern I can actually figure out like straight away. So I don't really have to think about that. I know I missed at the end, but like I can just automatically alt tap those ones. I don't really need to think about it. Now, actually disgusting. Let me go back to the actual thing. Hold up. So this one took quite a while. Obviously it looks difficult if you don't know how to hit it. So I'll demonstrate that. I'm actually going to slow this down a little bit, because this included an instance of like something I couldn't fully alt tap, like at all, like my fingers just refused to let me do it. So these chimneys I hit like this. It's not very hard to do that, even with the open notes in between. This is self-explanatory, alt tapping triplets, basically triplets there, that's like triplets. And then this is just... all of it is just straight alt tapping, except for that one weird, I don't know, castle-y bit with open notes. Trills, triplets. This part, this was the bane of my existence here. So what I do, I start off weak hand to the green, it's normal, and then I do a double one hand there, which is pretty weird to do with like open notes. Like my hands don't like doing that, but it's even worse if I try and just like fully alt tap out. I just couldn't do it. So double one hand and then alt tap out, and then this stuff is just alt tapping an X, and then it's triplets again at the end. So this part is hard for me. Just this bit. The rest of the section is fine. Although I did miss after it at least once, maybe twice. Like you see how hard it is for me to even hit it right when it's at the beginning. Something about having to release to hit these two notes and then continuing on alt tapping is weird. Like if I just play it as if there's no input opener in between, like I don't really have to think about it that much, but like having to do that. That was basically it. I don't need to dwell on that for too long. Okay, so that's that one. That was pretty difficult for me, that section. It's Gone Quiet is easy, but then we go straight into 4 sections on the bounce that were difficult for me, so I'll just let Patterns of the Gods play out. A is not very hard, probably the easiest of the 4. Some familiar sections like that X patterns in a trio. This stuff is all familiar patterns up until the end with these sweeps, which I hate all tapping sweeps so much. This one was very bad for me. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get this one, honestly. There were some really weird methods for this one. And then D was also another one where I didn't know if I could do it, just because of like trill tapping speed. Even with raking or whatever, that was a real question mark. So I'll go through them now. Patterns of the Gods A, as I was saying, not so bad. I guess the only thing that I would do any different is that I alt tap this trill at the end instead of doing this, which is what I showed. It was short enough for me to be able to do that. So this is the 5 tap sweep, but across 2 positions. And those X patterns, they play like chimneys, except you're tapping 2 notes at the top. So despite all this missing, at least I knew what I was doing there. That one didn't take very long to do. Patterns of the Gods B was difficult only because of the sweeps at the ending. So all this stuff is standard alt tapping. And then I just said screw it and, for the ending and just did not accurate at all. A lot of ghosting. Just because my mind physically can't really deal with like changing alt tap sweeps. Even like one set is difficult enough. So I don't even know the order of the notes, honestly. It's just, and that'll maybe work at one point, you know. Even though it's not working at all right now. So you see, like, -3. So that was kind of like an RNG-ish section. Patterns of the Gods C, I was saying this one was really, I didn't know. This part, mainly because of this part. I didn't really know how to deal with it. But I eventually figured out, and it's a really, really weird method. So one-handing these bits. So this is just for the, like, I guess, caged bit? I don't remember. I don't know what this was. So hopefully that sort of comes across. It's kind of like standard tapping, but not quite. And then it's like zigs at the end bits. I don't know, something about these chords at the beginning of the triplets like completely threw me. That's with the one hand. And then this part I could not do at all without doing an extra input. Extra green orange. So see here. I'm just pretending there's an extra green orange at each cycle. Then just do this, swim through the trill, and the zigs are obvious. They are fast though, and I was really lucky because I got this on my first time up to the zigs actually. This is a full screen note. So yeah, it's really difficult for me this. So that one was all I really didn't know. This one is fine up until the end. So the way that was done was the way as I've been doing any of the fast drills, my skip tapping method, I guess. And the transition from the strums into the trill here, I had to do really quick because I needed to be as far ahead of the, you know, the note window as I possibly could. Otherwise, like this was like literally, if it was like 5 BPM faster, I don't think I could have done it. This is the limit. And it wouldn't be bad if it wasn't red after the blue, because that's quite a big jump, so I can do it a lot faster if it was yellow, for instance. But to be accurate with that, then this guitar doesn't really overtap, so it has to be clean inputs, and so it's like my fingers get in the way. This is just like beyond. It was close. So there we go. Physically can hit it, but that being at the end of the section as well, it was really difficult for me. Okay, Patterns of the Gods is done. Now we really are, despite there being quite a lot of song left, we really are into getting into the last sort of sections to talk about. This section is literally nothing. Chord dead A is fine. In fact, there's like no chords in it, which is kind of interesting. Chord dead B looks a bit different or interesting. But there's probably nothing worth demonstrating. I one-handed that bit at the end. And this one is all one-handed. This one is even more obvious than chord dead B. And then we get into this, and let me tell you, I think this is the second hardest section in Megalodon. Like, that was hell on earth to do, genuinely. It took so long, I didn't think I was going to do it. I was planning on giving up and just being like, I'll just leave it. But I did manage to fluke it. I mean, you could say it was a fluke, I knew what I was doing, but like, it was just so difficult to even get past the first part for me. So, let's go to it. Yeah, second hardest section, for sure, I think. Like, this is hard, even without the open note, it's kind of... Then, I did that for the, one-hand the first one, do some, quite obvious tapping bits. Then, the stupidest chords ever, right before the tapping at the end. Like, it would be rare to get to this point. This method is weird as well for that bit. Like, I'm missing those chords at 60. Like, something about that just didn't sit. Like, my fingers just didn't want to do it. And just for reference, this method is sort of like doing alt triangles. Like I don't know if you can quite understand what I'm getting here. Like, not even hitting at 60. And then as far as those chords at the end, anchor green, then tapping these ones, and then doing basically quads underneath that. And actually, I think I was tapping that last chord at the end as well, just to give myself the best chance, because that stuff at the end rarely hits either. Like this, I just hit it. I can't even give a good demo, it's just too hard. That second cycle there, almost never got past it. But, as I say, I did actually get it, which, I don't know if I could, I guess I could do it again, but like, I don't know. Like, the idea of doing full chord head just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't ever happen. So yeah, hardest section I did for the tech, and overall second hardest section in the song, I think. Moving on. The journey's fine, as the rest of them have been. The piece, very easy. Rewind, nothing to say, just strumming. Obviously I'm not able to do rewind A and B together because I have terrible strum stamina. It's a joke. Eon's guitar solo 1 is fine. I believe there's nothing notable in it at all. I think it's a little fast at the end, but like, come on. In terms of tech FC, there's nothing to say there. Half-Duck's guitar solo 1 at least has the trill thing at the end. But that's it. Dilsky's solo 1. Nothing in it. There's nothing in either Dilsky solos. There's only one section in the guitar solos that is actually like difficult, to be fair. Eon's guitar solo 2 is fine as well. It has this thing at the end. Right, now Half-Duck's solo 2 is actually notable. Like, it's charted in a way that you couldn't play this on the guitar. There's just no way you'd be able to do like these triplets here. It's just insane. But yeah, that little bit in there is kind of mad. The rest of it's fine. And it's kind of obvious the way you'd hit that, but I'll show it anyway. Because I'm showing off anything. And this, I put this in my notable sections list at least. But I have played like the full solo bit, so it's not so hard, but it's like a once in a lifetime deal. This transition into trill is kind of random. And that's weird for that. Then this is just straight alt tapping, there's nothing out of the ordinary there. So yeah, it's not too hard for me to hit again. So that's the only noticeable section of the actual real guitar solos. Dilsky solo 2 sounds like that one Dragon Force song, and it's not hard. Downfall A, fine, easy, just standard tap to that. Downfall B is just, you know, pretty similar. Not hard to do. I mean, the notes are fast, but like the actual method is easy, simple enough. Turbulence is very easy. Impossibilities. Now this one's kind of interesting. It's probably harder, easier than it looks, should I say. Like the open notes can maybe throw you off. It's an interesting one, interesting section, that one. So I knew of the method, like as soon as I saw it, apart from the very end. So it's kind of obvious. Like the open notes barely even play a role, so I'll slow it down a little bit. It's just alt tapping with a weak hand first, and then it goes into this bit. And I did it wrong there, but yeah, it's all of it is just weak hand first. But this is like, so the index plays the green and the red, and then these two weak fingers alternate for those chords at the end. That makes that feel nicer. But yeah, even up to speed, I don't miss much of it. See, it's not so bad. That one looks worse than it is. Let me get to the glitch. And now, the first section of the glitch is easier than the second. The only hard part of this part is that thing there. Now, the thing is with the glitch sections, it is really, a lot of it is actually figuring it out. Like actually slowing it down and figuring out the actual order of the notes. Execution is also relatively difficult. So this first glitch section, I'll slow it down a little bit so you know what to ignore. So every second note you can ignore. And the strumming speed for this bit is actually 6 strums. And that'll always hit. I don't know why exactly it's 6 strums, like, because you can see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's actually 8 notes there, but for some reason 6 strums always works. It's like that's intended how it was. Relatively quick transition there. Then you have to strum the second note in this one. One-handed this bit is not fine. Then just kind of a quick transition. And the way that works is anchor these two notes and then one hand the first one there, but then it's a... I'll show you again. So when it goes down to green, it's just that. So that's easier than you would think, probably, if you didn't know this section. At full speed, it's kind of difficult, I guess. Also, you can't. That's the thing. You can't anchor a green under them. Sometimes I'll have the occasional miss, and I don't really know why. I'll normally get close to that. Generally miss at the end of the trilly bit in runs. So malfunction isn't so bad. The next one, whatever it's called, succumb to the glitch. This one's pretty difficult. Has more things going on. Awkward transitions, maybe a bit harder to read. So we'll break this one down as well. Pretty quick transition off the bat. I'm not going to be one-handing them. Also another quick transition. This is one-handable just as zigs. They're just doublets. And then this part sucks. So that's the method I use for that. I don't know if that comes across that easily, but like... So, hitting these as chimneys and then just two zigs at the end for the trilly bits. But also with elbow strumming in between. Luckily, obviously, you don't need to strum every second note. So this one is definitely the harder of the two glitch sections. Should have hit it there, but yeah. So that was kind of hard for me. The glitch sections were actually the first two sections I did the second time around. I didn't do either of them the first time around. And then yeah, that's how that worked. There was one more thing to say. These like weird bits, yellow tappy bits at the end. So I guess that one works, but like. They sort of threw me off as well at times. The first one is probably worse. But we'll move on. The next section to talk about is, I think, the one with the quad zigs. So Journey, same as ever. Judgment is literally nothing, I think. Just a solid bit. Ultimatum. Oh, this one. When I got this far, because I did this all in order pretty much, other than like chorded and... Chorded D and ArchWk A. So this first bit I was like, yeah, I can do that, but then it got to these quint zigs and I was like, no. Like I thought this was like, well, I can't do that, but I saw like there wasn't that many of them, so I was like, maybe I can get away with a standard tapping, and that is what I did. So it is very fast standard tap. I guess this bit at the beginning is also pretty annoying. It's relatively obvious how you do it. I opted for a double tap. The chords would occasionally miss, so to be fair, I don't really need to slow anything else down. Excuse me. And this part is actually kind of hard to get past this part. Those chords, I mean, just be careful and they'll hit. Hit it again. But yeah, so that's how I'd standard tap the Quinzigs. Just really try and hit them. There's no other level. It's just willpower, because I don't know. I can't physically myself be that accurate at standard tapping, because I don't have the speed. So this is why this was really another question mark. And I couldn't do my top one. It just didn't work. Like, for some reason it would just miss more if I tried to do it this way. And obviously, why don't you just alt tap them? I don't know how to do that really. Like, I can't do that. Any method you slice, the best way for me is doing this stand tap. I have the best chance anyway. And it ended up just being waiting for it to hit, and eventually did. So that was the main thing. That was one of the hardest sections for me. So, piece by piece. This is a pretty unique section in this song. It's not that hard. It looks pretty cool. I don't know if the norm is to standards or rake these. It depends how good you are at raking, I suppose. For me, raking was never going to work for that, so I standard tap them. There isn't really much to say for this one, so I'll just play through it and you can just hear sort of what the strumming sounds like. If I can even get to the fast strumming. I must admit my strumming arm isn't actually that warmed up, but yeah, that sort of thing. So the machinations A part is probably the hardest part for me. I hate machinations A, that pattern. At least they don't start with double strums like the funky solo C1 does. So it's ultimately easier than that section. That's that one. I don't think that's a particularly notable section for people that are good. Journey, the last one. Then we have the final solo in the song, Epicness Inbound. A and B are both pretty simple actually, so we'll just fly through them. The only actual interesting part about this is that this is the only section that goes over the measure. That's obviously just a mistake, but it's there. Epicness Inbound C is easier than D, but it's still kind of frustrating for me just because that one tapping bit in the middle. And I'll let this play as well. And this is quite rapid, but I wasn't particularly intimidated by any of these Epicness Inbound sections, despite it saying like good luck or whatever, like as if it's the hardest section in the song, which it isn't. So this one starts off quite self-explanatory with this bit, but this part just that middle bit, that bit at the end is fine, it's all standard patterns. But this part I just I couldn't get, so I just almost flailed and just waited for it to get past it. I don't know, it's such a weird pattern. But it was short enough to be one-handable, so I just opted to do that. This is the harder of the two. The beginning is pretty fast. I think I'm right in saying that I standarded this trill, so it just seemed to work better. Wait, I don't know what. My yellow's sticking. This might be the end. So yeah, I don't even know why I'm slowing it down. Yeah, yellow is absolutely sticking. So it's fast, but like, it's right at the beginning, so just unlimited tries. Then as far as this goes, the trills are another instance of one that aren't hard to figure out. And then this stuff is actually pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of difficult to do without ghosting for me, at least at the end. So I believe, basically, in mine I got this like straight away. Doing it that way, basically. Almost like moosing. But, yeah. This was never going to be a deal breaker section. So, that is actually the last section I had as notable. The section after breaking point is just, standard beast drills. I think they might be like slightly faster than Cry for Eternity or something. Not very hard overall, not compared to the rest of the song. And then it ends. This stuff. Gotta love the last section, which is just the last chord. But yeah, that's the Megalodon tech. This goes longer than I expected it to be. I guess I just had a fair few sections to talk about. So if you're interested by it, cool. Thank you for watching if you did. Yeah, fair enough. I don't really have anything else to say. So there you go. Cheers.